Hi, I'm Jessica Morales, and I'm an expert in brain training. I'm also a certified hypnotherapist. I write for Psychology Today magazine, amongst other magazines, like in the field of ophthalmology and helping administrators of medical firms with tools and techniques that can help their teams do well in the workplace and feel that they are contributing to a positive organizational work culture. But let me tell you why I do this, especially in workplaces and during your work time when you're actually servicing the role that you're hired to do. And it's because wherever you spend most of your time or whatever you spend most of your time doing, you can be a mommy at home, and that is your job as well. That is the optimal time to rewire how your brain fires using positive and productive mental habits that on repeat will become automatic. And so, we don't have a whole bunch of hours in the day, but if I can make you more highly aware of some of your tendencies that happen automatically while you're doing automatic behaviors, like you don't have to learn your job over and over again, but if I can make you aware of how to intercept and redirect those mental tendencies, you're going to feel great. You're going to perform better, and the organization will also benefit. And for me, I really love the fact that you personally benefit, and you can take this home to your families and your loved ones and your friends. So that's what I do. And so I want to get right into it because these are going to be shorter videos. And I promised you that in the entire month of January, every Monday, I will upload content that can help you to see things a little bit differently. I'm all about expanding how you see things because we sort of automate, our brain tends to automate things. It's its job, right? To predict and to automate things and make things easier for us. But sometimes it agrees with us way too much, even on some of our not so great mental tendencies. And so I want to expand your vision to see bigger, to see things from the backside of what it's not exactly showing you right up front, or maybe it is and you're just not seeing it. So personality testing is something that a good friend of mine, Monica, had mentioned to me. She's amazing. She is someone who has been in HR for so many years and understands so many of the nuances and brings in people for her teams as well. And she said, we love personality testing because people really want to understand their strengths. Managers, the senior team wants to understand how to better communicate with their staff. And then there's also interpersonal conflicts that I actually come in for, and I work and I mediate with teams on that as well. And so, groups or peers to peers that may not get along because of the different types of personalities. So what I want to share with you today are some of the main tools that you can use that you probably may have already used, and then how to look at the data, right? So you have DISC, you have this one, which I really like, the Merrill-Reed model. The Merrill-Reed model, this Bonnie Navarro, hi Bonnie, came in and did that for a medical team, and I loved what was done with this as well. And then there's also 16 personalities she had brought in. And what I did was I took it on the back end to help the team execute on some personality traits that were sort of coming across as dormant. And I'm going to explain why that's important and kind of cool. And then there's also something that's specific to my industry, which is the EMP model, it simplifies it into two key personality areas that you can quickly become well-versed in, and you can use it in all areas of your life, with your kids, with your spouse, with your dating relationships, and of course at the workplace. So people really love that. Okay, so when you have these personality tests, it presents to you what is your dominant and what is your subdominant traits, right? And so the first thing you want to do with your team is to ask them to look at the whatever that overview summary is of who they are. Ask them if they agree, and if they do agree, great, and if they don't, why, right? If they want to share that with you. So oftentimes people say, oh my gosh, it got me, it nailed me. How did they know that? It totally nailed me. Now, Briggs-Myers, I believe, is the #1 used by most workplaces worldwide, globally, right? So we use the 16 personalities of Briggs-Myers. And so they said, this nailed me so well. And then others people said, well, there are some that I might disagree with. And that is what I found fascinating as a behaviorist. And I asked the questions, the prompting questions, to open up their brain space to really think about it and to get to the root of it. And a person may say, I think I used to be more like that when I was a kid. And I'll invite them to look at the subdominant traits. So even in DISC, for example, it'll show you the primary personality types, which are called general types, but then it'll also go into personality type combinations. So for example, if you are an S/D personality type on DISC, they are quiet leaders who can be counted on to get the job done. They perform better in small groups and do not enjoy speaking in front of crowds, though they can be soft and hard-hearted. At the same time, they do enjoy close relationships with people, being careful not to dominate them. Challenges motivate them, especially ones that allow them to take a systematic approach. Why? Because system to the brain for this personality combo equals safety. When they know exactly what's happening in a more logical, analytical way, they feel more trust and comfort to come forward. So that's an example of, like, somebody may say, wow, that really nails me. And then they may say, well, this part about speaking and speaking to groups, it's true, but you know what? I would really like to do that more. That's something that I would like to explore and not let that be a dominant personality trait. So here's the thing, guys. These are not, set in stone. Your brain is malleable. You are the creator and can shape and mold and rewire how your brain fires and what it feels comfortable with. But you have to become a behaviorist and teach yourself new behaviors. Easier said than done. Those are some of the tools and techniques that I teach you. But if a manager hears this and sits with the person, and the person says, I really want to explore that more, you can now figure out ways that in the workplace, this person can exhibit and express that trait that wants to come forth. Now, I'll give you another example, subdominant traits, right? In this particular example, the person said, it's saying that that I'm more shy and more, kind of like to myself, and I rather have one-on-one exchanges than groups. And I said, well, how does that feel to you? And she said, I see why that's happened, but that happened because of a certain thing in my life in the past. Makes sense to me, right? The life script informs the present reality. So she says this subdominant trait that's coming up talks about boldness, and I'd like to be more bold. And I said, well, what does that look like for you in the workplace? And her manager was sitting there, and she said, well, that's so, can I say something? I said, sure. Because she said, yeah, I want to invite that in. And she said, anytime we have meetings, and it's only a meeting of 3 or 4 of us, I know I can feel that she wants to say something and contribute, but she holds back. How does that make you feel? And she says, I think about it when I go home. Why didn't I say it? I should have said it. I said, well, how are you in your home environment? She says, I completely speak out. And how does that make you feel? Great. I love being able to express myself like that. So we figured out how she can provide opportunities, and that employee can look out for opportunities where she could express herself in that kind of way. Here's what happens. When you are a kid, a child, most of us will express freely. One of the biggest areas that we tend to edit ourselves as we get into adulting is that we reduce our level of creativity and belief and a little bit of that fantasy. That's so yummy to have when you are a creator or an innovator and a leader. And we do that because experiences, something that didn't feel so good, triggered a heightened emotional response. And we said, oh no, we don't like that response. We didn't like that reaction. We didn't get the applause, or we didn't get the acknowledgement from the parent, or we got rejected from somebody. So I'm not doing that anymore. It happens so subconsciously, and it becomes a marker in your life script. And as you get into adulthood, you don't express that dormant trait. But what happens is you start feeling a void. And when you feel that void and you're wondering, what is it? Sometimes you don't even know, because it's so embedded in the subconscious, which is why I do this work. And so when you will reveal what you want to. No one can make you reveal whatever you don't want, just so you know. But when it wants to come forth and you allow it, now you know what was that missing piece, which is so amazing. So when that person gets to fill that void with something that's been hungry to come back out as part of your complete being, wow, it's powerful. And you can imagine the reward, the dopamine hits that person experiences in the workplace when they have a manager or CEO that supports that. So now also for the company, let's look at the company. When you can put on a chart, which is what I do, I will put on a massive chart. Here are all the personality profiles you have, but you're missing this one specific person, this dominant personality trait. You're missing it in your leadership, and it's so needed. Now that person, it's so fascinating. Bonnie had mentioned this, the person I mentioned earlier. She said if you would have that, it would have more balance. I couldn't agree more, because we need to differ, because we all in our different traits actually complete the whole picture and bring into the company different aspects of what it needs to flourish. So now when you hire the next person, look for those traits, because now you will have that complete picture in your organization. So you're filling a void in the organization, and these kinds of programs, these kinds of workshops are filling voids for the person. So here's how you can do this for free, okay? You can go on 16personalities.com, do the testing, look at your dominant traits, look at your subdominant traits, ask yourself, is this me? And then ask yourself, is this completely me? Is this completely who I want to be? Is there something you want to reduce in terms of your traits and another one you want to enhance? You can do that. What does that look like when I'm dealing with clients, when I'm dealing with a customer or a patient? What are opportunities when I can practice that new behavioral trait and fire that through the neurons in my brain, so that if I do it enough times, it becomes my new way of being and a new natural trait that I get to express automatically. That's how habit formation works. So productive mental habits that support your optimal flourishing personally and while you're working in your career. So you can also use this fun story. This was with one of my one-on-one clients. We used it as he was in the process of dating. And he became so well-versed because I taught him the EMP model. Now, the EMP model is part of the education I got while I was studying to become a hypnotherapist. And basically that population is really kind of split 50-50, and some of 50% are emotionals and the other physicals. Emotionals are people who actually have this desire to control their emotions through logical interpretation and processing. So they take longer to express from an emotional standpoint because they process through the head space before they would go to the heart space. The physicals tend to be more intuitively inclined. They go through the heart space. If it feels like this is right, if it feels like this happened, they believe it more so than what the brain informs. And so those two pairings in a relationship, in a relational commitment, actually complement. They're complementary with an E, complementary partnership, because what the other one that doesn't have, the other one has. And it's actually what initially brings them to that attraction. Okay. And you can also see this in your children, which one is the physical, which one is the emotional. That's a whole thing by itself, because there's all these traits, like the emotional likes to get work done first before they play. The physicals will play and get work done and maybe put it on the back burner at times. The physicals, you're talking to them with like, how do you feel about that? How did that make you feel? The emotionals, what do you think about that? I'd love to hear your thoughts on that. Just that little shift when you're talking to a patient, a client, a customer, an employee, a manager can completely build instant trust and rapport and an even playing field. Now, why do you want to bring up, if you are a high emotional, you have the subdominant trait of a physical. We have both. It's just where you land in the scale, and we can measure it. So if you are here on the scale, let's say the scale is this way. This is balanced, the 0 mark, 100%, and you're a high 70% emotional and a 30% physical, and you're dating somebody who's a high physical and a low emotional. Now, the wider you are apart on that scale, even in the workplace, the wider you are apart in that scale, the art of compromise is bringing up your subdominant traits so you can meet them in closer to the middle, and including with your relationships. So you might say to your partner, I know because you're an E, you're not going to say that, that's going to be in your head, but I know because my partner's an emotional and very logical, that person needs time to process through before they will share more, right? But if you're dating a physical, you might say, I know if I don't pay attention to this person right now who wants to fix it right now, you might say to that person, I know you want to fix it right now. Can you give me just a day to process this? And then I promise you we'll come back and we'll talk about it. That way they don't go into like, trauma, like he's not talking, she's not talking to me. So, but again, you can see how this translates. So in the workplace, what does that look like? I'm going to end with this funny story where, this person tells me, she's a manager, and she says, oh my gosh, I have a physical employee and the person is highly emotional about a situation and they're crying. And I'm just not in that space where I can bring up my physical subdominant trait. I just don't want to talk about it because it's too emotional for me. I said, well, what do you know to do? And she says, oh, okay, I got it. I'm going to get another physical to go in there and talk to her language. And she did. She gave her a hug. She talked to her. She brought her down on a feelings basis. And then the manager came in and spoke about the situation on a more logical basis when the emotion was now reduced. So I hope that helps you and gives you a lot of yumminess that you can activate immediately, personally and in your workplaces. If you have any questions, I know this is pre-recorded, but if you have any questions, I'm always looking at the comment section. I'm always happy to answer or reach out to me directly. You can find me on bubloom.com or here as well on this platform. So thank you guys so much for watching. This is one of 4 every Monday. I'm going to post something new for every Monday in January to set your mind right for 2021.